welcome to Odyssey of Ascension. This is Roxy. Once again, we're going to channel today. Thank you so much for tuning in. And greetings once again to the collective. This is Ocyphius from the Oversoul Collective Fire. I bid you a good day. It is most generous of you, that of humanity, to tune into our joy at this space-time now, so we may offer our particular idea of the universe. And we shall bring in once again that of Jane from the epic idea of the speaker Oversoul, to impart upon you her journey through an idea of the 12 Indoctrines. Stand by. And greetings once again to the collective. This is Jane from the collective Oversoul, if you would call the speakers. Alright, let us continue our idea of the Indoctrines, the next phase, if you will, next school. Alright, number 8. Very important if you choose it to be. If you go back and listen to the previous ideas, you understand that it is a most certainly building stages of awareness through the journey of the first 7 schools. Putting these ideas in place in this particular order, as well as the subject being taught in each initiate school, were, let's say, learned, experimented with, trial and error in your terms through many, many, many thousands of lifetimes. The next idea we shall, let's say, embark upon is that of number 8, once again. The idea of vulnerability. Let us discuss this in a fashion, and if you would, it would behoove you, if you choose, to your best idea of yourself, is let go of any stricture of that of the definition of vulnerability. For vulnerability will enlighten you most certainly. Because with your own ego construct, you are always protecting. Even in the interactions of what you would understand in the awake world, your spirituality, you see an idea of another. And it doesn't quite fit your idea of, let's say, the idea of ascension. And then you look at them with compassion and allowance. That idea of compassion and allowance still has a resistance to it. The no resistance is vulnerability. You allow them completely without even labeling. Difficult, isn't it, for humanity to see a moment and not have the capability to not understand it in the fashion of categorizing it. When you are completely vulnerable to all of your nows, this is what's happening. You are replacing your idea of your ego through the mechanism of vulnerability to allow the will of your higher self to become fully present in your physical idea incarnation. The will of the understanding of the mind right now is what you would call your creator idea, as we spoke about last idea in Indoctrine 7, the manifester. The one that is motivated to create out of that. This is the intention of the will that you perceive yourself to be right now. The will of all that is intentionless. It has no idea of intention, for it is already creation. And from your idea of your complex of how it works, you cannot perceive this fully in this space-time now. This is now being vulnerable that we ask upon you. Can you be vulnerable to the idea and trust that the will of the higher self has no intention It has no motivation. It is just thought of will in the moment. The intentional idea of thought is that of pure, let's say, unconditional love with no definitions. Difficult to understand, for you don't know what you're going to create. This is the passage of time. Because time allows you to think about the future, and in that you can create a focus of ideas through the idea of time in your mind structure. But the stricture of the idea of the mind structure is that of, let's say, leaving you wanting and understanding what truly will is, let's say, to be experienced as. Vulnerability is the pathway, once again, to understanding the will of yourself in the now. You would create, you are creating, you would think, you are thinking, you would intend, you are intend in an instant. All these definitions give you an idea how the will of yourself truly works. Once again, very difficult for humanity to grasp. For once again, you are thinking based on your current knowledge of all that is, in your idea of your separated self. To be vulnerable is allow others to be their, let's say, selves with you, to you, for you, against you. You have no discernment at all about them. You have no judgment or comprehension or comparison about their opinion about you. You just simply speak, be, and do as you choose. It will be that of, let's say, fluidity and co-creation if you are truly vulnerable to your own thoughts. Playing out each one of those thoughts and actions in its purest state only resonates with the entire, let's say, core being of yourself that is now birthing through. Giving that mind complex of separation and remembrance of a deep felt love you have not experienced in this space-time now. To understand that idea of your true self is a path to be, let's say, to be sought after. You are all seeking, otherwise you wouldn't be here. That sought after motivation is caused, if you will, by that of the ego complex. The ego complex, let's say, discourages its own self and wants to give up on the idea of this idea of phenomenon of waking up. That idea now has to be trusted within the idea of you and be now vulnerable to yourself and trust every single moment. For what's going to happen? If it is not unconditional love, then it is fear. Now you see the fear inside you at deeper levels, do you not? Can you be vulnerable to your neighbor? Can you be vulnerable to your lover? Can you be vulnerable to the stranger? What is going to happen, entities? Only fear if you choose it. No intention of what's going to happen, no fear of what's going to happen is a focused idea of exactly that vulnerability. You allow so much and only the will comes through. That will is infused with unconditional love because that's where it was birthed from. You can walk naked in this world with no defenses. For every idea of protection, of idea security, of idea sanctity with your own shields is fear. There is nothing up here to be protected from because you are unconditional love. If you choose not to bring up here into in here, so be it. But if you are a seeker seeking the idea of yourself, the path to that is to be defenseless. Because you are now vulnerable to your own free will. That is unconditional love. And if you believe, trust, and have the wisdom that everything is unconditional love in all creation, then there can be no fear. And now you will see the grandeur of what you would call the universe truly exposing itself at the vibrational levels that you would call mind-blowing. But the pure heart is the path, the one that allows all shields to drop, that doesn't fear itself in the next moment, that's not worried about the idea of acceptance. For all of your journeying was to rid yourself to the best of your ability of being accepted. No one needs to accept me, for I am me. And I am the Creator. And there is nothing more than that. And I am all of that. Forever. So I cannot look for another's opinion to validate that I am all that is. For I know it. And this is your quest within yourself to know that you need no other validation. That acceptance idea frees yourself into the next idea of awareness of yourself. That new awareness of yourself can break down the idea of the barriers you don't even see you're putting up. The doorway is vulnerability once again. In the idea of the initiates, they would choose the way they wanted to be vulnerable to each other. We have already discussed the idea of deep secrets that we exposed. But of course there are always more. Those lusts, you guys call them, which are just soul-filling urges to experience a particular idea of yourself so you can look at yourself in a different perspective. That of the human fractal so you can heal it. They're not lusts in those ideas. They are experienced to be sought after of the yearnings of your own soul. Deny your soul, deny your expansion. Deny your soul, validate the idea of the walls, the security that's needed to keep you to the next now. Well, let me ask you, what are you being safe for? All the way to the end of your life, you're safe. But you've been dormant. You haven't lived. You're regretting. You make a fucking bucket list. Your bucket is every day. Kick the shit out of it, if you will. And you will live. That's what you want. You want to live the joy. In this point, you know how to break down your walls. You know that acceptance is not needed. You know egoic stance is not that of filling your soul, for you are always left wanting more after you perceive the idea of what it did for me. And it's lackluster, isn't it? Because it's not love. It's the illusionary factor of love in the idea of your context fear, which is empty, fleeting, airy, no substance, no love. For those who are choosing the idea to find themselves within themselves, I encourage you to shield yourselves with the idea, the cloak of vulnerability. That's it. Be naked. Be vulnerable. Allow them. Let them smite you in any way they want, because you are now love. And they will only see themselves in the mirror. Is there more? Is there a greater? Is there a higher act of love than allowing someone to see themselves in the mirror? I dare say no. It is your journey, your free will. And this is our journey, our free will. Choose what you shall. And expand all that is through the beautiful experience of humanity. And we are honored once again to be among you. Vulnerability. Indoctrinate. This is Jane from the Oversoul Collective Partly Idealized Speaker. I bid you a good day. And thank you, that of Jane. And this is Ocyphius from the Oversoul Collective Fire. I bid you a good day. Adore. Boy, that was badass. I really do. I see it. Hi, guys.
That's very, yeah, it's very powerful.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can feel the love. I'm telling you, it shit your pants. It's so beautiful. It feels so good. All right, we're going to go now. I love you guys.